Hey everyone, we are working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy the content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
Stop what you are doing right now. I need you to stop scrolling, stop whatever playlist you have running in the background, and I need you to give me your full and undivided attention for the next few minutes. Because what I am about to break down for you is not just an off-season rumor. This is not just some beat writer throwing names at a wall to generate clicks on a slow news day. This is a legitimate, credible, franchise-altering conversation that is happening right now around the Chicago Bears, and if it comes to fruition, it changes everything we thought we knew about what this team is capable of in 2026. I am Fave, this is Favs, and today we are talking about Max Crosby, the Las Vegas Raiders, and whether Ryan Poles is about to pull off the most aggressive move of his entire tenure as the general manager of the Chicago Bears. Let's get into it. First, let's set the stage, because context is everything, and I am not going to let you walk into this conversation without understanding the full picture. The Chicago Bears have had a genuinely productive offseason by almost any reasonable measure. Ryan Poles has been methodical, he has been intentional, and the additions this team has made across the roster reflect a front office that understands the window they are operating in. This is not a rebuild anymore. This is not a patience project. This is a team with Caleb Williams at quarterback, a legitimate offensive infrastructure being built around him, and a defense that has the pieces to be genuinely disruptive. The Bears have Super Bowl aspirations in 2026. That is not hyperbole. That is the stated organizational goal, and the roster construction reflects it. But here is the thing about having Super Bowl aspirations. When you are operating at that level of ambition, every single weakness on your roster gets magnified. Every hole in your depth chart becomes a potential liability when the games actually matter. And right now, the most glaring, most obvious, most undeniable weakness on the Chicago Bears roster is sitting right there on the edge of the defensive line. The pass rush. Specifically, the inability of this current group to consistently, reliably, and violently get after opposing quarterbacks. And that problem, if it is not addressed before Week 1 of the 2026 season, could be the thing that separates this Bears team from a deep playoff run and an early exit. According to reporting from Bleacher Report's Gary Davenport, who put together a piece examining players around the league who need a fresh start and where they might land, the Bears were specifically named in connection with Las Vegas Raiders edge rusher Max Crosby. And I want to be very precise here about what Davenport actually said, because the framing matters. He was not speculating idly. He was pointing to a genuine organizational misalignment in Las Vegas that has been building for months and has now reached a point where a trade is not just possible, it might be inevitable. Let me paint the full picture of the Max Crosby situation in Las Vegas, because it is genuinely one of the more fascinating and uncomfortable dynamics in the entire NFL right now. This is a player who, by any objective measure, is one of the best edge rushers in professional football. We are talking about a guy who has been a cornerstone of that Raiders defense for years, a player who brings effort and intensity and motor every single time he steps on the field, and who has been at various points in his career the one legitimate reason to watch the Las Vegas Raiders play a football game. He is that good. He is that impactful. And yet, according to Davenport and multiple other outlets that have been tracking this situation, the relationship between Crosby and the Raiders organization has deteriorated to a point that is difficult to paper over with press conference pleasantries. The specific flashpoint, as Davenport outlined it, was the Raiders shutting Crosby down against his will during the 2025 season and then actively attempting to trade him to the Baltimore Ravens. Let that sink in for a second. They tried to trade one of their best players, their defensive identity, a guy who shows up every week and gives everything he has, without his blessing and without any apparent concern for how that would land with him as a human being and as a professional. And then they expected the relationship to just snap back to normal? That is not how locker rooms work. That is not how trust works. And Davenport made the point directly. Crosby may be saying all the right things publicly, because that is what professionals do, but there is no version of reality where that situation did not leave a mark. The harmony is gone. The foundation is cracked. And when you are the Raiders, a team that Davenport estimates will be fortunate just to be chasing a playoff berth by 2028, you have to ask yourself what exactly you are holding on to Max Crosby for. The Raiders need young assets. They need draft capital. They need to begin a legitimate rebuild that gives them a pathway back to relevance in a division that is not getting any easier. And Max Crosby, as spectacular as he is, does not fit the timeline of a team that is 3 or 4 years away from competing. What he does fit is the timeline of a team that has already declared its window is open. A team that has a young franchise quarterback and a coaching staff that knows how to win. A team that, right now today, has a pass rush situation that could charitably be described as a work in progress and uncharitably be described as a real problem. That team is the Chicago Bears, and that is exactly why this conversation is happening. Now, let me be fair and walk through the current state of Chicago's edge rush situation, because I think some of you might be looking at the roster and thinking it is not as bad as I am making it sound. The projected starters at edge rusher for the Bears heading into 2026 are Montez Sweat and Austin Booker. And listen, I have genuine respect for both of those players as individuals and as football players. Montez Sweat is a long, athletic defender who can win with speed around the edge. Austin Booker is a young player with real upside who flashed moments last season that made you think he could develop into something special. These are not bad football players. But here is the honest reality. Last season, the Chicago Bears recorded one of the lowest sack totals in the entire sport. One of the lowest. In a league where getting after the quarterback is arguably the single most important thing a defense can do to win games, the Bears were operating near the bottom of the league. And when you look at the offseason response to that problem, beyond drafting Jordan Vandenberg in the 6th round, it is difficult to avoid the conclusion that the front office either believes the problem will solve itself, is deliberately waiting for the right opportunity, or has a plan that has not been revealed yet. None of those explanations are inherently wrong, but the first one is the only one that should concern you, and I personally do not believe Ryan Poles is the kind of general manager who sits on a known weakness and hopes it fixes itself. Which brings us back to Crosby, because if Poles is waiting for something, if he has been patient on the edge rusher market for a reason, a Max Crosby trade would be the explanation that makes all of that patience make sense. You do not mortgage the offseason chasing a middling free agent edge rusher when you believe a generational talent might become available before the season starts. You maintain your flexibility. You keep your cap space and your assets in reserve, and you wait for the phone to ring from Las Vegas. Now let me give you the fave honest opinion here, because I think this trade makes almost too much sense to actually happen, and that is the part that scares me a little bit. In my experience watching the NFL, when a move looks this clean on paper, Team A has a need. Team B has the exact player who fills that need and has reasons to move him. The talent level matches the ambition of the acquiring team. Something always complicates it. The price gets too high. The player's contract structure creates problems. The trading team suddenly decides they do not want to move the player after all and uses the rumors to generate leverage for an extension. Any number of things can derail a deal that looks obvious from the outside. What would the price look like for Max Crosby? That is the critical question. The Raiders are not going to give away one of the best edge rushers in football just because the relationship is uncomfortable. They are going to want real compensation. We are talking, in my estimation, at minimum a first-round draft pick, and likely an additional piece, a second-rounder, a young player, something that gives Las Vegas a genuine building block for their rebuild. And the Bears, who have been protective of their draft capital and careful about not mortgaging the future even as they pursue a championship, would have to make a decision about how much they are willing to give up for a player who is undeniably at the elite tier of his position. But here is the counter-argument that I keep coming back to. What is a pass rusher of Max Crosby's caliber actually worth to a team that is genuinely trying to win a Super Bowl? Because if the Bears are serious, and everything about their roster construction and their organizational messaging suggests they are, then elite pass rush is not a luxury. It is a necessity. The teams that win championships in the modern NFL do so by pressuring the quarterback consistently and making the other team's offense play fast and uncomfortable. You cannot get to the Super Bowl in 2026 with one of the lowest sack totals in the league. That is just the reality. And if it takes a first-round pick and a second to go get a certified game wrecker who can line up across from Montez Sweat and make offensive coordinators lose sleep on Saturday night, then maybe that is exactly what Ryan Poles should be doing. There is also the Caleb Williams factor that I do not think gets talked about enough in these pass rush conversations. When you have a franchise quarterback at the level Williams is operating at, every other decision the organization makes gets filtered through the lens of protecting that asset and maximizing his window. Caleb Williams is not going to be a young quarterback forever. The window for a team to win a Super Bowl with its first contract quarterback is specific and finite. And every year you spend trying to develop your edge rush organically is a year of Caleb Williams' prime that you do not get back. Max Crosby does not need development. He does not need a year to get comfortable in a new system. He shows up ready, he plays at an elite level from day one, and he immediately transforms what the Bears defense can do to opposing offenses. That is the kind of addition that changes a team's ceiling in a single transaction. And from Crosby's perspective, think about what Chicago offers him. A young quarterback on the other side of the ball who is going to keep games interesting. A coaching staff under Ben Johnson that is innovative, energetic, and clearly building towards something real. A fan base that would absolutely lose its mind with excitement at the prospect of seeing him in a Bears uniform. And most importantly, a team that is actually trying to win right now, not in 3 years, not in some vague future tense, but in 2026. For a player who has spent years grinding in Las Vegas with limited playoff success, the chance to compete for a championship on a roster that is genuinely constructed to do that has to be appealing. It has to matter. Now, I also want to address the possibility that Poles goes a completely different direction, because responsible analysis means looking at all the options and not just the most exciting one. It is entirely possible that the Bears are satisfied with the edge rush group they have and believe that defensive schematic improvements under the new staff will generate more pressure without adding a premium name. It is possible that Poles has identified a veteran free agent still sitting on the market who can come in and provide a cost-effective boost without the draft capital commitment of a Crosby trade. It is possible that Austin Booker's development has the coaching staff genuinely excited in a way that the public numbers from last season do not capture yet. All of those scenarios are real. All of them are possibilities. But here is what I keep landing on. The Bears have been linked to Max Crosby throughout the offseason. Not once, not as a one-off rumor, but consistently, with enough smoke that credible national outlets are now writing full analytical pieces about why it makes sense. Ryan Poles did not build this roster the way he has built it, did not assemble this coaching staff, did not position this organization for a Super Bowl run, just to stop short of making the move that could push them over the top. That is not the version of Poles I have watched operate over the last couple of years. He is aggressive when the moment demands aggression. And right now, the moment is demanding it. One more thing I want to say before we wrap this up, and it is about the bigger picture of what this Bears team is becoming under Ben Johnson. What Johnson has done since arriving in Chicago, the energy he has brought, the culture he has established, the way he has communicated expectations to this roster, has created an environment where a player like Max Crosby would want to come. Stars want to play for coaches who respect them, who use them correctly, and who are genuinely trying to win. Johnson checks every single one of those boxes. And when you pair that with the organizational stability that Poles has built, and the generational talent that Caleb Williams represents, Chicago is not a consolation prize destination anymore. It is one of the most attractive landing spots in the entire NFL for a player who wants to compete for a championship before his career window closes. The Bears are not done. This roster, as currently constructed, is good. But good is not what this organization is aiming for. They are aiming for great. They are aiming for February football in New Orleans or wherever the Super Bowl lands. And if Ryan Poles decides that the path to getting there runs through Las Vegas and a phone call to the Raiders about Max Crosby, I will not be the least bit surprised. I will be standing right here telling you I saw it coming. All right, that is where we are leaving it today. And if this breakdown got your blood pumping even a little bit, do me one simple favor. Smash that like button right now. The algorithm rewards the ones who show up and engage, so do not sleep on it. Drop a comment below and tell me, do you want the Bears to make this Max Crosby trade happen? And what is the price you are willing to pay? I want to see the debate play out in the comments section because I know this one is going to be spicy. And if you are not subscribed to Favs yet, fix that immediately. Hit the subscribe button, tap the notification bell, because we are covering every move, every rumor, and every piece of drama surrounding the Chicago Bears and the rest of the NFL. Every single day. I am Fave. This is Favs. And we will see you in the next one.